Welcome everyone. So today I'm just taking a Sunday drive through the back roads of New England, quintessential New England, and the curved roads are so enjoyable, especially this time of year. Maybe not that much fun in the winter, but in the summer and the spring, and obviously in the fall when the leaves are turning, it's absolutely beautiful. So beautiful. And as we come on to these southern New Hampshire roads, you will see some of the old colonial type houses, but also I will make a few pit stops to show some of the older cemeteries, and we're also going to take a look at some of the fine gardens that are elusive. In other words, you wouldn't know them unless you knew where to look. Gardens. One of the other main features in New England are the old stone walls that were built and are protected in the state of New Hampshire. It is illegal to dismantle any of the older walls, and then they really were built originally partly to mark property lines, but also because when agriculture first took hold here in the 1600s, there were so many boulders in the soil, so even though the soil was lush and loamy and loose, there was a lot of granite boulders here, and those boulders obviously were not very conducive to plows. So I just pulled off to let this person go by because I'm driving slow. I'm being a Sunday driver today. And I don't know if you caught that, but there was a sign back there for honey. So often there will be signs for just these cottage industries. Fresh eggs or honey. That beautiful purple flowering shrub is a rhododendron, and you'll see plenty of those on the drive today. So I'm just going to go around the corner here. Really want to capture. Here's another example of the rhododendrons off to the right. And as we come up here, we're going to enter this beautiful hilly landscape that reminds me of England or maybe France, where there's vineyards and fresh fruit crops. Also many old styles of barns in this area. And the very flat face you'll see in the architecture of the houses here. Not much. I really spent much more time in the Midwest, where we had the long eaves to cover big broad front porches and provide shelter from the sun. Out here it's quite the opposite, with a steep pitch to the roof so the snow doesn't accumulate, and then also a desire to capture a lot of sunlight, because 9 or 10 months out of the year it is mainly quite cold. a little bit dark. Shorter days come earlier here in the north. We're really just about 2.5 or 3.5 hours from the Canadian border in New Hampshire, and so as you can imagine, the winters are longer, the days are shorter, and the growing season takes off like a rocket in the spring and the summer. So now we're just starting to really get into summer blooms. And if you're a gardener, that means that a lot of the perennials now are starting to come into bloom. So things like the Shasta daisies and the daylilies, the purple coneflowers, black-eyed Susans, now are just starting to get their prime bloom season started. The other thing you want to make note of if you come and drive these back roads is that there are often people who are walking or biking or jogging, and so you want to be extra careful, as there's not a lot of room between the 2-lane roads and the pedestrians or recreational users of the road. Sometimes I've seen even people on horseback, which is always fun, exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and just proceed. Here we're going to just turn to the kind of northwest. So now it's hard to say when you turn on a road up here. It could be that you are particularly going north for a while, east for a while. You might even find yourself turning west. Oh, did you see those beautiful dogwoods? And allium and iris. Very small post office of East Kingston, New Hampshire. I'll also point out that often these are called villages rather than towns or cities. So there's still some of the old language, old terminology that's used here. And so we're in in Massachusetts, it's called the Commonwealth. In New Hampshire, there's the live free or die adage. And there are tons of historic markers and spots that mark pre-colonial settlement as well as Revolutionary War meetings in Exeter, New Hampshire. Of course, it's a place where some of the revolutionaries met early before signing the Constitution. Exeter is also a place where George Washington was known to have given a speech. Abraham Lincoln gave a speech. It's deep in history. And it's so much fun to go into the town hall there because you get a sense of just the fine architecture, the use of building materials. And now we're climbing up out of the valley, one of the many valleys, coming up onto a hilly, winding location. So from here you'll be able to see sort of the hit and miss of, now this is the village of Newton, and you'll see coming up here on the right just a beautiful, beautiful stone wall. Look at how gorgeous that is. Now some of the walls have been rebuilt. Other people just let them naturally decay and break apart. But it's incredible, right, to think that some of these walls have been in construction since the 1800s or earlier, even in some cases. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. We'll make one more curve going south on Route 108. And again, south is only south in a general term. Sort of generally heading south. So the temperatures today are going to be in the high 90s or mid 90s. So obviously all of the shade provided by the canopy of this mature forest is super helpful in keeping our houses cooled. And then also, although it is a weekend, so the treasure of being close to the ocean is a little more difficult to access as a local. But nonetheless, it is quite enjoyable to make it over to the ocean. And sometimes the breeze from the ocean, those of you who know, can cool the air temperature down 10 or 15 degrees. Whereas I might need a jacket inland. Near the open ocean, can actually get kind of chilly. That was fun. That was an old VW bus repair shop. They specifically only work on VWs. 70s. I stopped in there one day and that was pretty enjoyable. There's always something. There's always something to explore, that's for sure. This is a very unique, niche-oriented business place, and you never know what the next turn or the next hole in the wall is going to be. And I've found the most amazing food places and coffee spots, roadside vegetable stands. everyone. Well, I am going to sign off. Thank you for joining with me for that 15-minute drive through southern New Hampshire.